Welcome in, everyone, for the second episode of Bar Talks with Biggs. As you can see, I made a little bit of change to the bar here.
What are
So
you drinking tonight?
I am not drinking anything right now. I just got home and I'm just trying to get everything situated, get everything squared away. But I will pour something before we are over
Okay.
with our talk session here.
Well, we'll stay in your live tonight if you want, because you're always in my live.
Absolutely, either one, it don't matter. Um, so we're gonna get the show
We get
rolling here. If you could
we get
just
we get feral though in my lives.
Yeah, I know. It got a little crazy in here last night too. Welcome in, Fetch. Welcome in, everybody.
What?
I'm gonna get this get my stuff here.
Cambo?
What up, Cambo?
So is it hot out there in New York today?
No, it's actually about 62 degrees. It's not that bad. It was a little warmer earlier, but it wasn't bad. Is the music too loud?
Mm-mm.
Can you hear it? Okay. Can everybody hear it? Everybody hear us over the music? I guess so. All right. So we have Nurse D on tonight. Bar Talks with Big, and I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks.
So I would like you to give us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how long you've been doing it, and then we'll go from there.
All right. So I'm an RN. I've been for 12 years. Uh, Currently, I work. In the last 6 years, I've been doing surgery. So
Okay. So, the last 6 years you said you've been doing surgery?
yeah.
Okay. So prior to that, what did you do as an RN or a CNA? How did you start out?
So right out of high school, I got my medical assisting degree, and then I went to school for my RN after I had my son.
Okay.
So
So was a medical assistant, is that like a CNA or
it's lower.
LPN?
So
It's,
when you go to a doctor's office, the ladies that work there, gentlemen, those are medical assistants. It's like
okay.
you can get a certificate that takes like 8 weeks, or you can get a degree, which takes a year and a half.
Okay. And then so you jumped from medical assistant and then you went right to RN. So you didn't go in between. You didn't stop at LPN for a little bit or anything like that. Okay.
I didn't want to waste my time.
That's understandable. That's understandable.
Yeah.
So as a medical assistant, how did you find it enjoyable or did you really want to rush into getting your RN because it was something you wanted to do?
I always wanted my RN, but medical assistant was like something I could um, get quickly to start making money.
Mhm.
And they don't get paid shit. They get paid like $1 more than the nurses.
Okay. Okay. So which as a RN in a surgery field, in the medical field, but a category as surgery, do you do you see other things that you are interested in that you want to move along to, or do you want to just stay in the surgery field?
I love surgery.
Okay.
Like so at surgery, I don't have to talk to patients. I mean, I talk to them right when I first meet them and take them to surgery. After that, we knock them the hell out. I don't have to put up with any rudeness, nobody being disrespectful.
Right. That's understandable. That's understandable because people can be rude and nasty afterwards too.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, that's understandable.
Because
So
right out of nursing school, I did public health for a couple years, and then I did nursing corrections in the jails.
okay.
Yeah.
So so take us on that journey. How was that? I worked in
Um,
corrections for 14 years. So I was a sign language interpreter in corrections for 14 years. So I was in medical. I've dealt with security side of it. I've done all that. So I just want to see it as a a point of view from a nurse's point of view?
So it was definitely different. Like we had to count everything, count our scissors, count our pins. Um, the inmates, like right when they would first come in, like get arrested, we'd have to screen them to see if they were like medically stable to be put in jail. And a lot of times, like that's when they were the worst with us. They were just like rude because they were either off their stuff.
Hang on one second. You're cutting out. You were talking and then your voice dropped down and it came back up. So I don't know if it's on your end or my end. So
Oh,
there you go. Now you're back. So
like the inmates would get arrested, they would get brought into the tank, like the holding tank, and you have to screen them to see if they're stable. And that's when they were the meanest to us. They would be awful, like call us names, spit on us, whatever. But then within a day or two, they were apologizing.
right. So did you find that they were detoxing most of the time when they came in?
Either that or they're just pissed because like they were fighting, they're drunk, and their purpose are there,
Right.
you know. And after a couple hours there, you realize why you're there. It's your own fault. Nobody did it to you.
Correct. Correct. So did you work in county corrections or state?
County.
County. Okay.
Mhm.
So have you ever talked to anybody who worked in state correction nursing or seen anything like that, or you just stuck with the county for that
I just
period of time? So for me, I know I got out of corrections because I was tired of the nonsense and the political stuff. What was the reasoning for you to get out of the corrections and go to the private field
um honestly the pay.
to pay?
Yeah. So I make almost 1.5 times the amount I make versus when I worked when I worked at the jail, I made $30 an hour. When I work
Mhm.
at the hospital, I make almost $80 an hour.
Correct, and that's understandable.
I mean, if I wasn't a single parent and I had somebody to help share the load, it would be different. But as a single parent, I'm like, I gotta make my money where I can.
It's totally understandable, and
But like in perspective of like what I like doing, I like corrections. I like doing that job. Um, but I love the OR.
right.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say that they love the OR
Mhm.
compared to being in a doctor's office and or working a hospital in general.
Yeah.
So I can understand that completely.
Yeah.
So you were saying in corrections you had to count everything and do all this, and what was your most craziest experience in nursing so far compared to either corrections or private field, either one?
Craziest. Um, I'll give you one from both sides. So corrections. There was a fight in the men's dorm, which is like houses 60 people, and all
Mhm.
that's in there's like bunk beds, and then there's a bathroom with a bunch of like sinks and toilets. And these guys got in a fight in the bathroom, and they ended up busting this guy's face into the sink and
Mhm.
like busting his whole eye socket to where his eye was just dangling there. And then nursing, like hospital wise.
Hold on. Let's go back to that for a second. I just thought of something. So in a situation like that, what was the protocol, or how would you go about taking care of something like that?
So at that time, now how I would take care of it's different because I have more experience. But there at the jail, the way that the jail nurses work is you go to where the fight was, you make sure that everybody's okay. If they're not, you basically call for the ambulance and you put them out.
Mhm. So as a corrections nurse, because we're talking about that situation,
Yeah.
did you find that it was harder to get people out of the facility for medical attention,
Oh yeah.
or was it about the same?
Super hard. Because a lot of inmates they would fake things and you would
Mhm.
have to know like what's normal for somebody. So I have to know what somebody's like when they don't have seizures, and I have to know what somebody's like when they do have seizures, because you get people that would fake having seizures just so they could get sent out to the hospital, or they shove razor blades in holes that they shouldn't shove them in. And it's
That's for sure.
yeah, and it's like, can I pull that razor blade back out the same track that you pushed it in without cutting anything extra, or do I need to send you out to get it taken out? You
That's
know?
yes, yes. So, did you have to take any special training or anything for working in corrections as a nurse?
No, nothing.
No. So you just went from school right to the
Yeah.
corrections, and there was nothing else extra that you needed to do. Did they offer you any kind of training while you were there?
Um, no, like it was just all like on the job training, like this is what we do. But
Mhm.
within a couple weeks, you're by yourself, so there's nobody there with you.
Now, you didn't have an officer there with you?
Oh, there's always an officer, but they don't have a fucking clue what to do medically.
Right, right. Yeah, they're just to make sure you guys are safe, and that's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Some of them
Okay.
don't even do that.
Well, that's another subject we could deep dive into for the rest of the show, but we're not going to.
All right, so OR, when I worked at the hospital doing surgeries, I would do like my 8 hours scheduled, and then I'd be on call for 17 and a half more hours. So I could come
Okay.
home, but if they called me, I had to be back there within like 30 minutes was the time frame. Um, and one day I got a phone call to come in because someone had been um, like pew through the neck.
Okay.
He was a kid. He was like 17. And so go in to do the surgery. And when I pull, like he was super smart when it first hit, he like took his windbreaker that was on his lap and like stuck it in the hole.
Okay.
And the bullet was still so hot that when the paramedics like cut the windbreaker away, a piece was still sticking out. So when he went up to the OR, I like pulled out the windbreaker and prepped the skin, and the surgeon's in there looking, and I'm like, "There's no art. You didn't hit any arteries. Like, what are you doing? Wash it out and close it." He's like, "I'm looking for the bullet," and I'm like, "I have the bullet. It adhered to the windbreaker."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy. That's crazy.
he was so lucky though. Like, it didn't hit anything major.
That's that's awesome. Thank you, Tammy. She's in here. She can see you. She'll respond to you in a second. Um, I appreciate it though. Thank you for stopping in, everyone. As you all know, this is Bar Talk with Biggs. We're talking with Nurse D in regards to from when she started to where we are now, where she's working in the OR as a nurse. Um, so that was one of the crazy scenarios that you have. Now, let me ask you this: have you delivered or been around when a lot of babies have been delivered at all? Or
So, babies normally aren't delivered like in the OR. Even C-sections, you think of it that they are, but most labor and delivery units have their own little OR section where they take them to deliver. And
mm-hmm.
so it's totally separate than the OR. I have delivered babies, but it wasn't because it was a scheduled. It wasn't like it's time to have your baby. It was like a mom was driving and she got hit by a drunk driver and I had to
Okay,
do or uh like her uterus was detaching and we had to take it to save the mom.
okay, okay. Welcome in, Al.
What's up,
I
Al?
so with with this type of career as a nurse, right? Where do you find it more taxing, when you worked in corrections or now where you're at now?
Now, definitely now.
Yeah. Okay.
Corrections, I don't know. Like when I first went to apply for corrections, everybody was like, "Why do you want to work in the jail? It's not safe. You're in danger." Like I heard it all.
Mm.
Um, and once I was there, I never once felt like I was in any danger. I didn't feel like safety jeopardized at all. I felt completely safe, but because I had officers with me, and most of the inmates, like 99% of the time, they respect it. You know, in jail, it's all about respect.
Hold on, you're cutting out again. You cut out again. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's. Are you wearing an AirPod or Bluetooth or anything? That's
No,
probably what it is. Yeah. When you're
uh,
talking, it doesn't pick up your voice when you're talking, and it cuts out and then it comes back. But you're good. Maybe the music. Yeah, I'll turn it down.
maybe the music, yeah. Yeah, but I never felt not safe there. I
Okay.
always felt safe there. In the hospital setting, I did not feel safe. Like I've had telephone wires wrapped around my throat. I've had vases busted on me. I've been assaulted in the stairwell. Like people
Now
are
you.
crazy.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So, what would be a reason that somebody would want to do that? Out of curiosity.
Um, so a lot of times it's patients that have mental health issues.
Okay.
They don't know why they're at the hospital, and we're keeping them there because, like, they have heart failure, or we're trying to get their mental health meds right, or um, they're there because they want pain meds.
Hmm.
And now, like, I would say within the last like 5 years, they have like locked down pain meds.
Well, that was going to be my next question.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of change in the way the hospital setting works compared to when you first started to where you're at now? Do you
Yeah.
see that they're doing more of locking things up, or any kind of change? Have what is the biggest change that you've seen?
So when I first went into nursing, it was because I wanted to be able to help people, like educate them on like ways to prevent certain things. Hey,
Hmm.
Dutchie.
What up,
um,
Dutchy?
Now the way that the system is set up is you go, say you go to the hospital for anything, you go to the emergency room, you get a splinter taken out, you go home. Then you get a survey in the mail that's like, rate this facility. How did they treat you?
Hmm.
And based off of your rating, tells the insurance how much money to pay the hospital for your treatment.
Okay.
So if you give them a bunch of zeros or ones, like they weren't nice, they didn't give me good information, whatever the reason, they made me wait too long, then the facility gets paid less. And so now all that we're told to do is kiss patients' ass. You don't have to tell them anything. Don't tell them why they are losing their foot. Don't tell them it's because they didn't control their blood sugar. Tell them it's because something must have happened. Like it's all about kissing patients' asses now. It's disgusting.
Okay. Okay. So, working in this field, do you find that it causes issues? No, let me rephrase the question here. Working in this field, do you find that it's a taxing field for you as a person, and or does it tax on everyone that surrounds you?
Um, I would say when I work, so right now I work at an outpatient facility, so I only work Monday through Friday, 8-hour days, which is amazing. When I worked
Correct.
in the hospital doing surgery and I would do like 24-hour shifts, sometimes 30 days straight, I've barely seen my kid, and I'm a single mom. So,
Hmm.
like, at an early age, he had to learn to like cook for himself and get himself to and from school. And so, I mean, it is taxing. Now I'm at the point though in my life where I'm at at a better position where I have more experience, and so I don't have to do the long ass busting days anymore.
Correct, and that's understandable. So it works out for you. It works out for everybody. And with your experience, do you see yourself doing another 20 years, or are you looking to do another 10? What is your goal on trying to
No, I could stay in it for another 20.
another 20?
Super easy. I mean, I just need to find something closer to home now.
Right, right. That's understandable. That's understandable. So If there was anybody watching who's interested in getting into the medical field, what would be some suggestions that you would give them?
Um, so any part of the medical field that you want to be in, you can go and check it out beforehand. You can shadow doctors, you could shadow nurses. Um, they just have you sign a waiver with the patient saying that you won't say anything. Go see what it's like. Don't just assume you can handle it because there's a lot to it. It's overwhelming.
Mhm.
Um, you bring home a lot of emotions with you, and you either learn to shut them off or they eat you alive. So
That's
make
definitely
a good support team and go check out the different
okay. So we have a question. When an expecting mother is about to lose their life, do you all have to choose who gets to live?
we don't, the family does. I mean, if it's like instant right then. So we had this lady that came in. She was hit by a drunk driver. She was 8 months pregnant. She had just dropped her husband off at work, and we took her up to surgery. Down in the ER, they like did the ultrasound for the baby, and the baby had a heartbeat and everything. So we took her up to surgery to do her surgery to find where she was bleeding internally. And we had the heart monitors on the baby, and the baby started to crash. So we had to take the baby. And at that point, it's like one team is working on the mom to save her, and one's working on the baby to save the baby. You can't always choose, but if there's time to let somebody choose, it's always the family's choice.
Okay. And in situations like that, um, do they offer you guys anything afterwards if there's a bad scenario or a bad situation for you guys?
No. After that scenario, so we lost the baby. We saved mom. We lost the baby, and I rolled her into recovery. Walked over and talked to the drunk driver to take him into surgery next. And I have to treat
That
him like he did nothing wrong.
absolutely, and that's a hard situation for
Yes,
everybody
sir.
all the way around.
Mhm.
So Texas D said, who do they pick normally?
Um, that it just depends, D. I, I mean, so
What
if
up,
it's
man?
a mom baby thing, we're gonna probably ask the husband if he's right there. If she's not married, we're gonna ask her parents. And a lot of times they want like, what are the chances of her making it versus what are the chances of the baby making it?
Okay, I know this is a hard subject for everybody.
But it
This subject.
you bring it home with you. Like they don't give you someone to talk to. They don't. There's no like debriefing to even get it out. It's just like, okay, on to the next victim. Basically, is what it is. You know.
Correct. And I mean, not everybody knows. I talked about it in the last show, but I was a volunteer firefighter for 14 years. So at least when we had a hard situation, they at least tried to debrief us afterwards.
Yeah.
And so I can totally understand that you guys don't have to they don't have to offer you guys that because you have to keep moving to do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I lost a best friend after that surgery. Not because she died, but I just did surgery on this woman and she lost her baby because she was hit by a drunk driver. And my best friend was drinking and driving all the time and was getting divorced from her husband. And I'm friends with both of them, and she drives with their kids in the car drunk all the time. And he had asked me, will you serve her restraining order papers? And I got off work at like 3 in the morning, text him, and I was like, I just finished this surgery. Come over tomorrow and give me the papers and I will serve her. You
it's
know,
understandable. It's understandable.
it's not because I
And
didn't love her, but it's just because it's like, this is bullshit.
it is. It is. And I'm a firm believer on, if you've had more than one drink, you shouldn't be driving. I
Yep.
mean, you've seen it, I've seen it, and it's crazy. I see it well, I used to see it on the other end of the spectrum where we just try to hurry up and get them out and get them to you guys. And then for you, it's a longer road than what we've had to deal with.
Yeah. I used to drive.
Gas tanker said, I used to drive tow truck, had some people die in my arms first on the scene. Sometimes it's hard. Absolutely, bro. Sorry, absolutely. I've used to drive tow truck also, so I get you. Ronnie Bishop said, we had debriefings in the NICU.
Yeah. I think just because
And
sometimes, like, especially when we're on call at night doing trauma surgeries, we're the only team there. Like, there's nobody else there. So it's like, when that surgery's done, if there's another one, it's go to the next one. If there's not, it's like go home and sleep because you're coming back again some point.
absolutely, absolutely. So we got talking about that, and I lost my train of thought.
All right.
Um, no, 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 you're good, you're good. Um, so have you? All right, here we go. To caveat off of what Ronnie said, have you ever worked in the NICU or have friends that worked in the NICU?
My only time in NICU was in nursing school. Because when you're in nursing school, you rotate to different areas. And
Hmm.
sometimes you only get one day there, sometimes you're there for weeks. I only did one day in NICU. I couldn't do it. Ronnie, she's a NICU nurse, and God bless her, because I would beat the shit out of some parents. I mean, not all babies in NICU are there because their parents made bad choices, but there are many, and it's terrible.
You know what? I'm gonna put it out there. My child, I had two children that were in the NICU for 6 weeks, so I get it. It's
Mhm.
taxing on a parent. It's very taxing on a parent. And my children were born at 29 weeks, and to walk in there, a lot of times you had to restrain yourself from a lot of things,
Mhm.
and to see what some of these parents and children were going through, it was a lot. Was a lot. And it's definitely a taxing time, like I said, and a very emotional roller coaster. And I have to give it to Ronnie
Yeah.
because I've met some amazing nurses in the 6 weeks that we were in the NICU, and it's definitely a job that is hard for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
I give a lot of credit to people who are first responders, nurses, doctors. I give a lot of credit to a lot of people because it is a taxing job and it's a thankless job.
I think it's crazy because people don't realize like there's so many different aspects of it. Like first responders, nurses, doctors. Like there's so many different levels to it that I couldn't be a NICU nurse. There's no fucking way. I'm not into dainty little things, you know. But
Hmm.
give me a body, I could cut that shit open like no other. you know?
Right, right, right. Junkie said my first year of life was in the NICU.
Aw.
Well,
Well, I'm glad you're still
and
around, Junkie.
absolutely, Junkie. I'm glad to see you're still around. Also, my my 19-year-old daughter was spent the 6 weeks of her first 6 weeks of her life in the NICU, and now she's a CNA, and she's 19 years old, and she wants to move up and go to an RN eventually.
Yeah. Like I said, she can go shadow nurses. Like she can go walk the floor. Like they have little programs that she could sign up for just to see like what her interests are in nursing. Like would she rather do the paper side of it? Would she rather do the patient care side of it? There's people that do so right now I'm on light duty, so I've just been sitting at a desk for 6 weeks getting my ass is getting bigger. Making phone calls, calling people, screening them, getting them ready for food. You know, um, but I can't wait to get back into the OR, you know?
Mhm.
But she can go and see the different little aspects, the different channels of nursing and see what she's interested in.
That's awesome. Thank you for that information. I'll let her know so she can check that out. Gas Tanker said there are some great people as well. My nephew was born 5 months premature, and nurse gave blankets and money because my sister didn't have much money. John Muir, Walnut Creek. I want to say it's California.
It is. It's the hospital in Walnut Creek, John Muir Hospital.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, it it's amazing to see, how many people actually pull together,
Mhm.
especially in the hospital
Oh
when
yeah.
you're there in a taxing time and an emotional time. Um, Let me think here. What else we got? So you said you don't mind doing another 20 years in where you're at now. So is that what your goal is? You're looking to do another 20 years before you get out, or
Um, I honestly, as of right now, I'll probably stay in there until I'm like in my 70s. So probably like another 30 years.
okay, that's understandable.
Yeah. I could do it.
It's understandable.
I mean, I make
Hey,
good money. I enjoy my job. I love helping people. Like it feeds my soul, you know. Yeah,
correct.
there are days where I come home just fucking drained, but 9 out of 10 days, I love it.
That's awesome. And I thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you.
And and I'm sure everybody in the chat thanks you as well. Um, Gas Tanker saying, "Aren't you going to go back to school?"
I am. So I want to go back for my physician's assistant so that I could be right there next to the surgeon.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'll tell you a funny story.
Yes,
My tattoo
Brian.
artist, my tattoo artist, she uh she started out doing tattoos
Wait,
and
wait,
became
wait.
a
I have to
nurse.
interrupt you for a second. This is beer talk or bar talk. I haven't seen you drink shit yet.
That's because when I drink, I don't I my thoughts go everywhere. So I'm trying to stay on focus here, and then I'm going to drink afterwards. But I will pour. All right, hold on. Let me go get some ice. I'll be right back.
I'm not the boss in the room, Brand. Asked me to do Q&A tonight. We planned it like a week or two ago. I'm on a backup account because CK is being a shit right now and got me nannered. So who's your wife in here?
New York Queen.
Okay. I meant in the operating room. I know. Thanks, Bean. She's always putting her foot down. Oh, I don't know, Brandon. Like you could read. I posted the chat because she just won't let us.
Actually, Paul said he's having bourbon for you. I'm
Thanks,
going with
Paul.
a winter Jack just to have a little something.
All right, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I just was like, we're at the bar. You're supposed to be drinking.
Yeah, like I said, I try not to do it while I'm doing the show because I can lose my train of thought, like I did a couple times. But cheers.
Cheers.
All right,
All right.
welcome in everyone. We are having a conversation with Nurse D in regards to nursing on our second episode of Bar Talks with Big, and we have went over that she has done corrections nursing, also OR nursing where she's at now, And we've talked about babies and whether they choose how they figure out which one they go through. Do they save the baby? Do they save the mom? Whatever. And we're leading up to what we're going to go into next. Oh, and the other thing, she said that she'd be willing to do it for another 20 years. And she's going to be going to school to be a physician's assistant.
I was
Thank
all
you.
signed up to start back in August of last year, and then I got in my accident, so I had to withdraw.
Okay. So, with your accident, how long do you think that's going to hold you off on going back to
Um,
school?
what month are we in? May right now. So in June, I'm going to sign back up.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. You know,
Just
you got
start
to
building
keep
up.
pushing forward.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to keep pushing forward
Oh yeah.
and achieve the goals that you need to achieve or
Yep.
you want to achieve. Let's rephrase that.
I feel like you can never be too old to go back to school.
For sure. For sure. And I went back for 2 semesters of college and I saw a guy who was 85 years old with 5 master's degrees and he was in school,
Yeah.
in college. So I have to agree with that.
I had some girls in my nursing class. Two of them, but one of them was like in her late 50s and one was in her mid 60s, going to school to become RNs.
Wow. Yeah. Actually, my mother in law just graduated last year. I think it was last year. She's 62, 63, and she's an LPN now.
Yeah.
She graduated and she's working her way up to be an RN.
Nice. Yeah, Samantha, you're never too old to go back to school. I'm 42. I'm going to go back and get my physician's assistant license.
Salute, everybody.
I think don't let nobody stop you from reaching your dreams. I think we're our biggest enemies stopping ourselves.
For sure. For sure. So back to you know a little bit of the operating room and nursing. So with the operating room, do you have a lot of time? I know you said you used to do a lot of trauma. Are you still doing some trauma stuff?
So
Other than that,
where I'm at, I just do they're called elective surgeries. It doesn't mean that it's like elective like it's breast implants or nothing like that. Elective means that it's not life threatening. So like
mm,
hip replacements, knee replacements, spine surgery, hernia repairs, those are elective surgeries.
okay. So now that you said that, can you explain a little bit more of elective surgeries? Well, you did the elective surgeries, but non-elective and or type different types of surgeries.
So everybody gets like elective surgeries. That could be a hysterectomy because you're tired of having periods, or you get your tubes tied. That's elective. You choose to do it. It's not medically necessary to keep you alive. Um, and then you have your emergent surgeries. So like you come
FJ, what's
in,
up?
because you've fallen and broken your hip. It has to be replaced for you to sustain functioning life. You have a bowel blockage where we have to cut out part of your intestine because that can kill you.
So
Um,
let me stop you right there for a second. So bowel blockage, diverticulitis, and what else would be something that you would have to have surgery for your stomach or intestines or anything like that? Can you
um,
explain
so,
that a little bit?
so bowel blockage. All right. So for stomach intestines, um, you could have an elective surgery for stomach would be bariatric surgery. Like you get a band put around your stomach or they stitch part of your stomach closed to help you lose weight. That would be elective. Um, you could get a non-elective would be a bowel blockage where so people with diabetes are very prone to have peristalsis, which is your intestines paralyzed, basically the nerve
Mm.
endings that make your intestines move and move the food through them, they stop working. And so they end up getting bowel blockages where everything that you eat gets just like it becomes this big hard ball and the intestine dies off because it's so impacted that the blood can't supply the intestine. So it dies off. So we have to go in and cut out parts of the intestine.
Okay.
And depending on where it's at, we could sometimes we could put the intestine back together and you have no issues, but other times we have to put like a colostomy bag in. That's where your bowel comes out of your stomach into a bag.
Mm.
So we have to do intestine surgeries for bowel blockages, trauma accidents, or like if you have ulcers, really bad ulcers,
Okay.
or if you have a bad hernia and part of your intestine gets trapped in the hernia.
Okay. So do you see a lot of that?
Shitty surgeries.
Those are what?
Shitty surgeries.
Do you see a lot of those surgeries, or is it more of
Um,
um
at the hospital, yes. When I worked at the hospital, at the outpatient center, no, I don't do any of those. I'll do hernias is the most that we do there for stomach.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you just do more of like replacement surgeries and stuff like that?
Yeah, so where I work at, we're same day surgery. So it's where they come in, get something done, and they go home the same day. We don't keep anybody overnight. So we'll do a hip replacement, a shoulder replacement, knee replacement. We'll do spinal surgery where we fuse the spinal cord together, take out chunks of the spinal cord,
Mm.
um, rebuild feet. We
That
do,
sounds interesting. Rebuild feet?
yeah.
So are you replacing bones? Are you putting
Um,
pieces of cadaver bones or
both,
metal?
both, all three.
All
So
three.
yeah, so like we'll go in and break the bones in the feet and reposition them. Like if you have really bad flat feet, we'll go and break the bones, put them the way we want them to give you an arch, and then either use bone powder and put it with the cement and
Mhm.
basically glue the bones back together in the formation we want them so that you have an arch. Or like if you break a foot, I don't know, like you get your foot ran over or something. They'll come in and we'll put plates and screws in to put the bones in the right places. Just depends on where it's broken at.
Okay.
We'll use cadaver bones.
So when you do use cadaver bones, what type of cadaver would you use to, match up to the bones that we have in our feet, our hands, or
So honestly, bone doesn't have to be matched up. Like there's no
really?
yeah, so there's no screening. I could give bone out of my body to anybody in the world. Um, there's no like your bone doesn't have DNA in it.
Okay.
It's just basically calcium.
That's good to know. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
So we'll get these bags of little. It doesn't look like it, but you know how like you can buy chicken bouillon that's little cubes.
Yes.
Bouillon. So we'll get bone cubes, they're called. And we get ones that are the size of the bouillon, and then we get ones that are smaller than a bouillon. And so I could have a bag of like 1,000 bone cubes, or I could have a bag of 50 bone cubes.
Wow. And then you guys just crush them up, mix them with cement, and then just put it in there.
Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So with what surgery do you think is like the that you do now is the most in detail, excuse me, and or the most interesting in your eyes?
So where I work at now, I would say I want a deer bone. Sorry. Um, where I work at now, we do a lot of ear, nose, and throat surgeries. So
Mhm.
like thyroid cancer, lesions on vocal cords. We do this one, it's called a functional endoscopic sinus surgery. And the first time I watched it, I was like, I fucking want that surgery.
Really?
So we take cameras and we go up through the nose. And so you have
Okay.
four sinus cavities. You have two here and then two up
Mm.
here. And we go in and we make the hole into each sinus cavity because it's just a little hole and and it drains constantly into your nasal passage and then down your throat. And people that have a lot of sinus block like buildup, they get post nasal drip or they are always hawking stuff up, you know?
Hmm.
So what we do for people that get a lot of sinus infections is we go in through the nose and we make these big holes into the sinus cavities and we like scrape out the insides of their sinus cavities and then wash them all and make them all pretty. Oh my God, it looks like they could breathe so much better.
I would imagine. I would imagine with all the scraping and
Oh my
washing it out.
God. It's kind of gross. Sometimes my boss hates ear, nose, and throat surgery. She won't go into the OR at all. Even if I call her and I'm like, it's not, I don't want you to look at the screen. I just want you to like come in. I'm like, I just need to talk to you. And she's like, no, talk to me on the phone. But like, there will sometimes, you know how like sometimes when you cough, you'll cough up some like dry mucus.
Hmm.
Like we'll suck that out of their sinus cavities.
Really?
Yes. Like it's
That's
gnarly.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And so
That
like
is pretty cool.
I'm not up there doing the surgery, but because it's with the camera, I can see it on this big screen, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there watching the whole time.
And you're fascinated with it too.
Yes.
And it's just like, wow, check this out. And the technology today is like
Oh yeah.
unbelievable. Now, how did you see the technology evolve from when you first started to now?
Um, so a lot of stuff that we used when I first started in surgeries was wired. So like the on the sterile field, they've got all these cords and they're like handing off a cord, like dangling it off the sterile field for me to grab and plug it in. And so I've got all these cords hanging off the sterile field, plugged into all these machines. Now it's all wireless. Like everything's connected wireless. The pictures are so much better. Like there's so much high def cameras and
Hmm.
yeah, it's definitely
That's that's pretty cool. I mean,
yeah.
and as we should. I mean, with the technology that's out today, is it should be, you
Yeah.
know, a vast change from
And it
what it
does.
used to
Like,
be.
I would say at least once a year we have a new vendor in there that's like showing us new top of the line equipment, and you never want to not get the top of the line equipment because then if especially like a surgery center. So a surgery center, we have doctors that come to us, they bring their patients to us.
Hmm.
Um, if we don't have the best shit in our facility, they're not going to bring their patients there. And so
Okay.
as a facility, like an outpatient center, you want to have the top of the line stuff, the best stuff. That way you can offer that to the surgeons. Like we have the most newest equipment out there.
Right, and then it makes them keep coming back. So, I've seen videos of somebody coughing like white pellets.
Oh, I bet that was tonsil stones that you've seen, Samantha. So in your back of your throat, you have your tonsils
Hmm.
on each side. And nowadays, a lot of kids get them removed. But if you get chronic tonsillitis, you have little holes in your tonsils, and they're not really holes; they're like filters. But if you
Hmm.
push on your tonsils and you have chronic tonsillitis, the little filter, the stuff that's filtered out
Hmm.
forms little pellets, and you can push it out.
Wow. Yeah, as for me, I had my tonsils and adenoids taken out when I was a kid. So, I don't experience that, but that's pretty cool to
Yeah.
know that that could happen. Yeah. Well, I think that about wraps it up.
All right,
And
you want a good story?
yes, absolutely.
Worked in the hospital, night shift traumas. We would work our day shift was 6 to 3:30. It will be my last story. Um,
No, you're good.
Nighttime we would get called in, middle of the night. I'm home sleeping, get a call. D, we have a foreign body that needs to be removed.
Okay.
Okay. So I text the surgery team and I'm like, hey, foreign body, let's go. We on the way to the hospital, we would take bets because you have to keep it fun. Like otherwise you lose it, you know.
Right.
We would take bets. What was the foreign body? What color? What size? Did they put it in the right way? Like how far in is it?
Right.
All right, I've removed 24-ounce beer bottle.
Wow.
The guy had taken the cap off, the serrated cap with the bottle opener, drank the beer, put the cap back on, keistered it up there. I have removed a 4-foot long fluorescent shop light.
What?
Yeah.
The bulb itself,
Yes.
or
Yes.
okay,
Double-sided, 18-inch long. It was pink. It was elbow deep in.
okay, okay. Wow.
So
I'm sure. I'm sure they could go on and on and on, and yeah, that's
I have a
crazy.
picture of the x-ray of the beer bottle.
Really, that'd be something interesting to see.
Yeah.
But I sometimes I just question and say why. You
It's
know.
always they slipped on it in the shower. Every time. They always slip on it.
Well, I just don't understand why you would have a 24-inch or 24-ounce beer bottle in the shower with you.
Or 4 foot long fluorescent
Yeah, a
bottle.
fluorescent bulb at 4 foot long in the shower. I mean, I've as a kid we used to break them for fun, and they would break fairly easy. So I don't understand why you would want to fathom
Mm.
the idea.
And it's
Okay,
never a woman. It's never been a woman. It's always been men.
really?
Yeah.
Hey, to each their own, and whatever floats everybody's boat. Hey, I sure don't want to partake in any of that. And cheers.
Cheers.
Well, Nurse D, if you have any more stories, I would love to hear them. If not, I appreciate you coming on and talking about some of these traumatizing experiences and the fun experiences that you've had and explaining to everyone about nursing and how they can go about expanding their knowledge if they wanted to get into the nursing field. And it's been fun. I appreciate it. Hey, do
Thank
you
you
have
so
any questions for me or the chat, or does anybody in the chat have any questions they would like to ask aside from what we already went over? So I'm going to have to edit some of the video. I do post it on YouTube,
Okay.
so I'm gonna have to edit some of the video, but I will definitely be posting it on YouTube. Last week's episode is up on YouTube. If anybody wants to go look at it or watch it, it's Bar Talk with Big.
Are you
And
staying live or are you getting off of here?
I am going to end this portion of it. I will go live again, or if you want to go live, whatever, either one. But I do have to step away at 10 o'clock and I still have to eat dinner. So,
Okay. Well, then maybe I'll go live since you're stepping away. But you come in and hang out with us and let me meet.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll see if she'll come over by the camera so you can say hi to her.
All right.
Alrighty.
All
Since
right.
nobody else have any questions, Nurse D, I appreciate you. I
I appreciate
really,
it.
I thank you for coming on and stay amazing and have a great time.
Thank you. You too.
I'll catch you later.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for coming in, tapping the screen, sharing a live, having a conversation with us all. I hope everybody has a beautiful evening and an amazing day tomorrow. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and I appreciate you. Next week 8:30, same time, we are going to have a sheriff on the show, a retired sheriff, and we're going to discuss some stuff about the police side of some things. I am going to try to get another police officer on the show after that, and hopefully we can have some interesting conversation. Or I might do both of them at the same time on next week's show. We'll have to see, and we'll talk soon, everybody. I hope everybody has an amazing evening. Thank you.